What happens when you get a former Royal Marines commando and a 3-time Olympian, put them on the mats together and get them to fight to the death? You get this. The good news is, I'm joking, this is completely unrelated. So last week, myself and Olympic bobsleigh legend, Ben the Bounce Simons, travelled to Leeds to catch up with another one of our friends from the winter sports world, Tom Walker. Tom did skeleton, whilst Ben and I did bobsleigh 10 years ago. But since leaving the sport around a decade ago now, he has become incredibly proficient in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Having basically no experience in what is one of the world's fastest growing sports now, Ben and I thought we might as well take Tom up on his offer of some one-to-one tuition and have a little roll around. 90 minutes of some really technical beginner stuff, and here's how it went. Tommy, our instructor for the day, talk to us, brother, what are we doing?
Good, awesome. So we're gonna look at a few different things today. Firstly, we're just kind of discussing then the difference in the culture internally and externally in Jiu-Jitsu, because there's quite a common belief for men, in particular if they're athletic, that they can smash everyone or beat them in a fight, or smash their women even better than them. But one of the things that I learned, particularly after I'd done a bit of MMA and then I'd left skeleton, I came back into combat sports, and I remember rocking up to a judo class and thinking like, right, I legitimately thought 2 years' time could be in a like Olympic level standard. And then I remember going to this class and a 55 kilo brown belt just fucking rinsed me, like threw me around the ragdolled me, and I left like, fuck, I'm tired, but I can back squat like 190, what's going on with me? And so through that process, I think you learn when you go from a white belt to a blue belt, you realize there's some technique, and then when you go from a blue belt to a purple belt, you've kind of got such solid fundamentals, you've got safety to play and develop your own style. And then the way that it's been described is a white belt is a novice, a blue belt is a generalist, a purple belt is a specialist, a brown belt is like a concentrated specialist, and then or a hyper specialist, and a black belt is a hyper generalist. So you go through these different stages of learning. And so what we'll do today is kind of pick apart some of the principles that instinctively we think we do really well, and then we realize fundamentally it's not very effective. So one thing that I've learned over the years doing some combat sports and messing around with things is the things that we instinctively do in fights are really silly and will get us in a lot of trouble, particularly if we're athletic. So we've started this new school here, and the best athletes, without being deliberately like overly benevolent, are females, because they don't have those physical characteristics. So they start thinking about those skills.
So they're kind of more cerebral with it straight from the off, as opposed to just trying to, like guys doing rock climbing where they just try to fucking muscle their way out. So
we'll look at a few things today. We'll get you guys to play around with some kind of basic takedowns. Nice. So an arm drag to kind of back control, and then what you can do to throw someone off balance rather than just trying to rag them to the floor. We'll look at what we do when we have a good side control. So how do you effectively hold someone down? Then we'll transition that side control to a mount, do an arm triangle from there, and then we'll look at some back control stuff and how to do an effective rear naked choke.
Awesome.
And then
I don't think I'm ready.
I'm
scared. I don't want to be here.
So what you'll find typically in these grappling exchanges is you'll have a collar tie and someone will be controlling the arm. So Jim, if you grab me here, and then if you will just have this sort of clinching situation. So if you grab my arm here, because there's a lot of a fight for control here. Normally you'd expect people to be here and here, but often you'll find there's a matching of stances.
Am I grabbing this part of the arm?
Yeah, because what that's there for is you can use this to control and clinch things down. Because if I take you in this direction and pull you that way, I've got a bit of control, whereas if you start giving me a bit more of your strength, you see how now we've got a bit of a battle over posture? So this is what controls the posture, but we're quite like for like here. So you have to do things that manipulate that. And now this is often an agreement. So I like to get the takedown before we make this agreement. So before we even clinch up here, you'll see there's some hand fighting where people are trying to get this, this and this. So I imagine what I'm gonna do is I'd shake this hand so it's like I'm gonna be forcing myself to face Jim's hand. So if we're exchanging, I'll grab that and I'm gonna go to the back of his armpit. Because now as I take the back of his armpit, his body is in this line. So I'll just take his arm and I will pull him and listen to the back of his shoulder. Now the problem is I'm not controlling Jim here, because if I want to get to his back, if he turns, he can just keep turning, right? So what I'm gonna do is when I take this grip, I'm gonna grip the back of his tricep I'm going to listen to the back of his shoulder, and then I'm going to grip his hip here.
I don't even know what the fuck just happened.
So Jim's trying to turn now. It's very difficult for him to turn without my whole body coming with him. So if I get to come around to here, then from this position, I'll just get a connection to his body in this sort of grip. So if you watch my hand here, I've got a palm to palm grip. Big mistake people make is this. You want thumbs on the outside because it gives me a lot of isometric tension. So now if I want to take Jim to the floor, I could do all these big heavy pickups and throwdowns. But if I start taking him this direction, and he's going to resist me, he's just going to walk. If I pull him this way, he's got that leg to defend himself. So I take my elbow, and I jam my elbow into Jim's hip, and then I'm just going to pull him to the floor like this. Like that. So you've got that control here. So if I ever stand back up again, a little bit more of a normal speed, we have a wrestling exchange. I grab, I grip, and I dump him to the floor. So, key component, if I show you, mate, we'll do it here. Imagine you're going to shake my hand. So you're going to force the NLP shake. So you're going to double handshake him, yeah? That's right, Jim.
Yes,
Jim.
yes.
Right. So left hand, grip my wrist. Force the. Imagine you were going to force the handshake, but you go to my elbow. So you're going to go right
side.
behind.
Okay, yeah, behind
you're
the upper
cupping.
arm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're going to pull me and listen to the back of my ear. Good. And then obviously the challenge we have now is if I start turning, I can just keep turning and we do this little dance together. Where if Jim takes his left hand and grips my hip.
This hip or that hip?
Far hip.
Yep.
Right, now if I turn, he's got a connection to me now. So all he's going to do from here is bring his right hand across to my right hip, but he's going to come right across to here. Okay, so if Jim tries to pull me to the floor that way, I'll keep walking. Whereas if he takes his elbow and sucks it into his right hip and now pulls me down, he's got that control. So if Jim, if you try and get out of that position for me, mate.
Yeah,
It's a little bit harder.
Yeah, definitely.
But there's the way that you're going to really nullify someone's strength is you take the spine out of alignment. So this is called the cross face. So if I sit to here, have the palm under the shoulder, Jim's a big unit, I'd probably be sitting here. And I'm going to take my shoulder, and if my elbow, shoulder and hand, we had like a 90-degree position, I'm going to close that angle and just sit on his jaw a bit. So now if Jim tries to get out of that position.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere, mate.
Not having a great time.
I'm not going anywhere.
So if we have a little struggle cuddle, off you go, mate. Try and get out.
Struggle cuddle, love it.
Yeah, definitely a struggle.
Yeah.
More than a cuddle.
So
Fuck, that was like maximal, and I was like, mate.
You really went for it there, bro.
I felt as though there was two trucks either side of me.
Hey, fair play.
I've never seen Benny laugh so much before. He's having the fucking time of his life.
I'm enjoying this, Bolt.
So you're going to take that and bridge from here. See, now I can't get that connection. I'm struggling to get through, and you can get frames in and get away from me,
Yeah.
okay? So when I feel that, which we saw a little bit downstairs, I just take that and I punch my head to the floor. So he's quite a tall guy, so I was behind him and I put him in like this rear naked choke. I said to him, put your hand above your head, and when you feel yourself going, just tap my leg and I'll let go. And I swear, man, like 6 seconds, pinched it, and I felt this, and I let go, and all that happened was this. And it was in that moment when he started to go, it's like, what do I tell the ambulance crew?
So we're about halfway through the session now, and as you can see, it is fairly flipping humbling compared to what you normally do. And I consider the generalist style of my training generally as a good methodology to build the foundations that allow me to turn my hand to pretty much anything. But this is just such a unique, nuanced skill set in and of itself that I'm sure it did help having, you know, a little bit of capacity, a little bit of strength, a little bit of kind of proprioception and coordination. But it was actually quite fun learning that all the lifting I'd done might have allowed my body to be moderately robust, but didn't really even begin to enter the flipping skill set of this sport. But weirdly enough, that was kind of one of the reasons I really liked it. It was so mindful, it is impossible to be focused on anything other than what is happening right in front of you. And maybe in this constantly hyperactive, overly stimulating world, that's one of the reasons why this sport is taking off so much over the last kind of 5-10 years, and so many people lay claim to it being such kind of a foundational flipping bedrock of not only their physical but their mental health. Parking your mind when you're in the middle of a workout is one of the objectives for a lot of people anyway, and I believe it's one of the reasons that so many more people are now getting into running, because again, you kind of have that cadence and your mind starts to wander in a different way. But I have to admit, I definitely enjoyed the fact that I was thinking about nothing other than what was right in front of my face. So let's get back to the second half of the session and see how we go.
So then from here, if I squish him down and give him that tension, try and turn on your back, Ben.
No, that ain't happening.
Okay. So I'm controlling the shoulder, I'm controlling the rotation, I'm controlling the upper limb, and I'm controlling the back. So if he turns again, and this gives me an opportunity now, if I can kind of do it whenever I want, I'll just sit onto my bum and take his back. So I've got a really nice back control position from here. So we'll show the strangle from here. I'll take this hand and I'll grip it here. And Ben knows I'm going to try and strangle him with this. The problem is he's going to defend it. So shoot that arm down and I use that to collect it.
Oh, cheeky.
So it's 2-on-1 now. I've got control of this. Contrary to popular belief, you don't need two hands to strangle someone, you just need a good grip. So I'm going to take my elbow and I'm going to sit it under his chin and go deep behind his shoulder. I'm going to put my chin to his shoulder, and all I'm going to do is, it's like I'm using my lat, squeezing my bicep, and I'm pulling and retracting my shoulder blade. So from here, if I grip this, and I'm just going to go from there.
There's a little bit of madness to my method. Many falling off that fine line that I'm treading. I risk anything to be great, and I'm not letting nobody rob me of my victory.
So Ben's recovered. Let's reset the position.
By any means, only thing that makes sense to me. I can make nice or make history. I got that dog in me, yeah. Turn me up. Big energy, got the crowd going. I got that dog in me, any up. I take on anyone. I don't need a one-on-one. Got that dog in me, yeah. I'm talking all bite, no bar.
It's your round. You're
I'm
in.
not sure I can, I appreciate your support, but...
Go for it.
What's up?
Right, Jim. Slide your knee across his hip and try and get on top. That's it. Get on top of him. You're still all right. Get your leg out and try and get it round his back. That's it. Nice. Get on his back. Nice, Jim. That's it. Climb on up. Use your left, right foot. Go on. Keep going. He's recovered. Nice. Oh, he's after him. Oh! He's after the finish. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Fuck me!
Think about getting clear of those legs. How have you not thought about this before? And keep walking out now. Good. Keep walking your hips out. And you want to walk your belly button up to the roof as you come out. Turn your hips up to the roof. Keep walking out. Keep fighting for this, mate. You're nearly out. Keep fighting for it.
That is a fucking workout like no other. It's so unbelievably primal. It's so cognitive. And having to remain composed and decide when you do and don't apply effort, it's unreal. Testosterone booster. Ben Simons is looking fresh. How you feeling, Benny boy?
Bruv, mate, oh shit, I can't talk.
Well said. Benny, good work.
I can't lift my hand.
Coach Tom.
Cheers, buddy.
Pledge.
You for that. Thanks for coming up, mate. Come on, let's get you up.
And that wraps up the session, guys. As a quick summary, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but as a quick summary, I absolutely flipping loved it. Can I see this as something that I get into more regularly? 100%. I don't believe, honestly, that it would be my primary focus, but am I now at a place in my life where I believe I can enter into a physical pursuit and do it for the enjoyment without having to, ego-wise, or attempting to be the best I possibly can be? Yeah, I do. I'm literally in a boot right now, so it won't be in the next few months. But strangely, I did enjoy being humbled. I did enjoy the fact that it's so kind of creative, it's so playful, you're really having to be responsive, and you're in a very, in theory, stressful situation with someone trying to choke you out, but it's still all about composure. But one of the things I absolutely loved about it, I've done like 1 or 2 jiu-jitsu classes in my life, one a couple of weeks ago, one about 10 years ago, is even when you're brand new and you suck and someone taps you out straight away, I've never experienced any level of egocentric behavior from the other people who are better than you, because everyone started off probably pretty shit at the beginning. So even when you're stupid and you get something wrong and you can't remember something and you forget what you're doing and blah, 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 you are never made to feel dumb. So the community aspect and the respect for the greater pursuit and respect for people who are better than you, and an equal amount of respect for people who are just, you know, on their journey, perhaps not at the level you are, is incredible. And I think that's one of the linchpins of why it's so flippin' popular. I can now understand, with even a sliver of experience and exposure to this sport, I can genuinely understand why it's taken off the way. Hope you did enjoy this video, guys. If you did, please do smash that like button. Any questions or requests or suggestions on anything, please put it down in the comment section below. If you have not yet done so, make sure you subscribe. A hell of a lot of awesome content on the way. And as always, guys, stay strong, stay healthy, stay awesome, and I'll see you in the next video.